Hello everyone. Welcome to the Enthu English podcast. I'm Klaudia, Łojas, your Enthu English coach. So 30 episodes later, and here we are again, learning to understand how English works to become fluent and confident speakers in life and business. Right off the bat, let me ask you this question. When you speak your language, do you always say directly what you mean? Or are there moments when you phrase your thought differently, adjusting it depending on who's in front of you and the situation you're in? Well, English is no exception. It offers multiple ways to sound indirect in your communication. And today we're going to discuss several chunks that will help you express indirectness that came to my mind as I was thinking of what I could teach you in my next episode. They all flowed rapidly from my long experience of speaking English every single day, as well as my ongoing teaching practice. In this episode of the Enthu English podcast, get ready for lots of learning moments, including, number 1, learning specific expressions for immediate use. Number 2, why it's worth knowing and using them. Number 3, how to use them correctly. And number 4, in what context and in combination with what words. I suggest you consider this episode as a starting point for perhaps exploring more of this side of English, more of the lively side of English, where what you hear has a deeper meaning or communicate something with a twist. What is it about? That's where indirectness exactly comes on the scene. You just need to know how to flip the phrase around to understand what's really being said. For more exploration, join the Enthu English classroom and practice hearing the true meaning behind words by learning to paraphrase and turning the meaning around. As an English teacher and lifelong learner myself, I know that mastering indirectness is not just about vocabulary. It's about thinking in English. Now, why would anyone use indirectness? Several reasons come to mind. To sound more advanced and maybe out of your ambition to take your grammar and vocabulary to the next level, or perhaps to show your proficiency and confidence in the usage of such expressions, or to present your ability to handle complexity and nuanced meaning, or to avoid direct communication. But that's not the only reason. Or out of politeness, cultural rules, or to make someone stop and think, or to surprise, add humor or irony, or to soften your message, make it less threatening. Alright, to illustrate how it works in practice, let's look at the usefulness of the word opposite. Instead of stating directly how you're feeling or what effect something will have, say, I feel the opposite of inspired when you're criticizing all my work. Are you noticing an element of humor here? What about this one? Ignoring the risk won't take you far. It will do the opposite. Here again, you're avoiding a direct message. You could equally say, depending on the circumstances you're in, you will fail if you ignore the risk. But it sounds so blunt and direct. And maybe someone might take it too personally, or maybe it might come across as harsh. So the two examples show you how to soften your message and make it less straightforward. Now let's take it even further and look at grammar as a tool for indirectness. We're going to analyze 4 more expressions that offer practical ways to add variety and nuance to your messages. What about expressing uniqueness? How do you usually express your reaction to something when you find it special, unique, unusual? One of a kind. Instead of saying special and unique, let's say that you want to avoid using these words, grammar does the work. Consider the phrase, there's nothing I can do to help you. Ooh, sounds pretty negative, right? Now, look what happens when you add 2 extra words. There's nothing quite like a simple explanation. You see what's going on? It moves from the negative to the positive. The meaning shifts. What you should hear is, it's valuable and it means a lot to me. A simple explanation is valuable. What's the next phrase? To highlight how unusual or unique something is, the word unlike might come in handy. The example is as follows. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. What does it mean? Unlike anything? Well, I have seen a lot, but I've never seen such a thing. Terrible, beautiful, whatever. Or I can't compare it to anything else. It's one of a kind. It's incomparable, it's beyond comparison. What about this example? You can also put unlike at the very beginning. Unlike my previous job, this one brings me more satisfaction. You see, in this way you're avoiding saying in contrast to my previous job. It's much more economical and concise. Once again, by using unlike, you're indirectly suggesting that there's a clear imbalance between the 2 experiences. The previous job and the current job, for example. Now let's move on to the next term, can, with the negative form. But we're going to go beyond inability. When you hear I can't, do you think of something negative or positive? Just take a moment to reflect. For example, I can't do it. Well, it suggests a lack of ability to do something, right? But idiomatic English flips this around again, indirectness. Yes, you're able, so if you're surprised, you're able to express a lack of ability in the positive sense of the word. Let's see how. Consider this example. I can't wait to see your progress. Clearly, it's what I say very often to my students. In this way, I express anticipation, that I look forward to seeing your progress. I'm almost getting impatient. Now, let me share a personal anecdote with you. My fiance used the exact phrase, I can't wait, when I was telling him about my new podcast episode idea. But without wanting to reveal my initial thoughts to him, which were all scattered around and messy at the time, I decided to keep him in suspense. We both agreed he was going to be the first to get the podcast link and listen to it. And that's when he said, I can't wait. And I was like, bingo, that's what this episode is going to be about. By the way, I should know that he's a proficient speaker of English, so that phrase came out naturally and spontaneously right out of his mind and mouth. Didn't I tell you that I bring you the kind of English that is most alive? Note it down. Clearly, my fiancé's anticipation, expressed by I can't wait, was most alive at that very moment. All right, so I've already mentioned I can't wait to do something, which expresses anticipation, impatience of sorts, and any other expressions following this pattern. You might be wondering, definitely. The same is true for these examples. I can't thank you enough. What's happening here? You're expressing gratitude. Yeah, gratitude. Just maybe saying thank you sometimes is not enough, and you just want to say I can't thank you enough. So I would probably need a lifetime to keep saying thank you to you. What about the second one? I can't get enough of this song. Well, in this way, you're expressing your enthusiasm for listening on end until probably midnight or until the very end of the world. What about 3? I can't tell you. Of course you could tell me and tell me. I can't tell you how much I'm developing. You see, there's so much intensity in what's happening with my development. And I can't tell you, it's hard to describe and express this. It's beyond words. So what are the commonly used verbs? Here you already know that it's wait, thank, get, especially get enough of, and thank you enough, get enough of, tell you. Also stand and help. As for I can't thank you enough, just look at how the word enough changes the meaning. You see, certain words require more attention and effort because of the hidden superpowers and what they are capable of in combination with other fellow words. But here's a twist. What about this one? I can't help but. What if we add but? How will that change the meaning? Will it turn it on its head? Certainly. It's what I explore in more depth in the Enthu English classroom. Now I'm going to show you how you can switch from the positive to the negative, so the other way around. If you want to add an element of surprise, just state affirmatively what you find is true and then introduce an exception that will turn the idea upside down and negate the whole statement. For example, it's a reliable tool, except when it fails to work. Pattern, it's except when it's not. In this example, naturally, your tone of voice is powerful and shaping meaning, along with your body language, intonation, pausing, and rhythm. Why would you make such a sentence? Again, to inject an element of humor or irony. Just be careful. Tone matters. Irony can amuse or offend. Every one of these phrases might be used to hurt or at least upset. So be mindful of what you intend to express. Make sure it's compassionate and adjust your tone of voice to show you have good intentions. Now, the last player in the game is the expression less than. In what situations would you decide to say, it's less than desirable? I'm less than optimistic. It looks less than ideal. Less than makes criticism softer, more polite, and often humorous. It's a gentle way to disagree without sounding harsh. For example, less than desirable is a polite way to say something is bad, but if you use it in the wrong context, like with close friends, it may sound overly formal or even insincere. Real interaction, as we all know, teaches you when it's appropriate and how native speakers react to such instances of irony. To wrap things up, let's reflect on the question, can you trust these patterns? Mostly, these phrases are commonly used and recognized as such, so native speakers hearing them can be sure about what follows because they already know the patterns, except when they play a trick on the listener on purpose and go against the established rules for effect or to catch attention and provoke reaction. Think if you're ready to take your learning to the next level. What I'm sharing with you in the Enthu English classroom, so beyond this podcast, is more than this episode can contain. The Enthu English classroom is the space where you discover language nuggets and gems that hide in plain sight and are not taught directly in grammar textbooks or regular courses. My goal is to bring you the most natural aspects of English that present common patterns and universal usage. So start learning English with me and learn more about the side of English where indirectness and negatives rule. Continue the exploration beyond this episode and dive into double negatives and the word but. Which of them is used to express positive surprise? What do you think? And which one is used to talk about extremes? And how? Well, keep thinking, keep wondering. What we covered today is just a taste of how English uses indirectness and nuance. You've seen how phrases like I can't wait or less than desirable flip meaning, and how a single word like unlike or twist with except can add surprise, humor, or emphasis. That's it for episode 31. Remember, every phrase carries more than meets the eye. Practice flipping meaning, listen for nuance, and you'll discover the most alive side of English. Thank you for tuning in. Keep your English evolving and speak your way to fluency. Until next time, bye-bye.